بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Inshallah, everybody's doing well, good, the best that you possibly can in 2025 in this hayat dunya, struggling and surviving every day, fight to be doing the right thing. If you're indoors, sit back, relax, inshallah, enjoy the program. And if you're outdoors, hopefully you got your satchel. I got this satchel some years ago when I was in Toronto from some of the beloved brothers and sisters up there, the disciples. Alhamdulillah. I'm not getting paid for this, by the way. A promotion for Thermos brand. That's what we got today, inshallah. And if you're at home, grab yourself a nice hot cup of tea, and if not, coffee is just as good, inshallah. All right. Windsor, bidnillah. Okay. So inshallah, the fact that today is from a work of an 8th century scholar. Not the first time that we've shared with you this book, some of his works. And his name is Ibn Jama, Al-Hafidh Ibn Jama. He died in the 8th century, roughly or approximately 733 of the Hijrah. The name of his book is called تذكرة السامع والمتكلم في آداب العالم والمتعلم. His book speaks on the do's and the don'ts, the etiquette, not etiquettes, singular, the etiquette of studying, of learning, and of teaching. The etiquette of studying, learning, and teaching, okay? Okay. So, like many books, how to study, how to seek knowledge, how to teach knowledge, etc. Page 137, the author Ibn Jama'a, he says, الفصل الثالث في آداب العالم مع طلبته مطلقا وفي حلقته. Third section, he speaks on the manners, the etiquette, the behavior of the scholar, of the learned man or the learned woman, along with his or her students in the halqa, in the circle. How is the alim to behave with Allah? How is the alim to behave with himself? How is the alim to behave with his neighbors, with his contemporaries, his peers, etc.? But right now, what are the manners of the teacher of the class, the head of the circle, the one who's running the halqa or the halaqah, as we say in English? How is he or she to behave when you're sitting with the talaba, with the students, with the tulab, okay? Along with the general etiquette of the teacher with his students. Okay, as we've explained countless times over the years, the profession of seeking knowledge correctly, systematically, consistently, being a full-time professional student of knowledge, not part-time, not half-time, not seeking knowledge according to the broken, made-up, willy-nilly, mishap, do whatever you want to do type of way, but actually leaving a dent, an impact, a crater by your career as a student of knowledge and inshallah as a teacher of that knowledge, and one who's to disseminate and to spread that knowledge and to push, to pump, and to propagate the ilm that you learned. All right. So what are some of the do's and some of the don'ts of the teacher with his students in general, let alone when you're actually sitting in the circle? Ibn Jama'a, rahimahullah, he mentions many things. And we're on page 137, so obviously he spoke on a lot of stuff before we even got here. What I want to share with you is on page 138. The author, may Allah have mercy upon him, he says, الثالث أن يرغب علمي وطلبه في أكثر الأوقات بذكر ما أعد الله تعالى للعلماء من منازل الكرامات وأنهم ورثة الأنبياء وعلى منابر من نور تغبطهم الأنبياء والشهداء ونحو ذلك مما ورد في فضل العلم والعلماء من الآيات والأخبار والآثار والأشعار. The third thing that the alim, the one who's made it to the finish line, there's no finish line in ilm, but you graduated. You got your PhD, you got your master's, you got your bachelor's, you got your ijazah from your teacher. You've been appointed as a teacher, regardless of your level. Whether you're a sheikh, an alim, a mustafid, as they would say in Yemen, al-muhim, you now have underlings. You now have younglings. You have disciples of your own. Even though you yourself suffer from waswas, I'm not good enough, I don't have enough knowledge, I'm not sincere, will Allah punish me, am I munafiq, it shouldn't be me, regardless of that. But your teachers, your professors, they have stamped you. And they've said, you go. You've benefited from me, now you go and teach. All right? So there are different levels. You could be a teacher and at the same time be a student. You can be a scholar and at the same time be a learner yourself. You can be a researcher and also be studying with others, etc. So there are levels of knowledge, right? There are tiers of knowledge, right? Okay. So he says that the teacher of the class, alim or not, he should encourage and inspire the students, disciples, to seek knowledge and fill most of their time with seeking knowledge. So you got 24 hours out of the day. The majority of 24 should be spent on seeking, learning, teaching, writing, researching, ilm, to constantly remind the learners of the importance of ilm. And he doesn't say that, but he says, Allah Ta'ala, subhanahu wa ta'ala has in store for the people of knowledge the rewards, the blessings, all of the karamat, the special things in the hereafter, what Allah will give to the people of knowledge. And he is to constantly remind the learners that the ulama, they are the heirs of the prophets. I mean, let's be real, let's be honest with ourselves. Do you really think about that every day? When you pick a book, when you go to the masjid, when you're watching YouTube, do you think about the fact that it made me a relative of the prophets and the messengers, an heir? You're taking their inheritance. He says, and how the people of knowledge be upon pulpits of light, manabir, minbars of light. And he says the prophets and the martyrs will envy them. The prophets and the martyrs will be jealous of them on the day of judgment. And all of the ayat, the ahadith, the athar of the salaf, the narrations of the pious predecessors, all of the stories, the dreams, the poems, the lines of poetry regarding the excellence and the superiority of seeking knowledge. I.e., in simple terms, the teacher, one of the teacher's jobs, one of his part of his job description is to take the student and to make the student keep his eyes on the prize. But how can you do that when you yourself are distracted? When you yourself have the proper tunnel vision. One day scholar, one day businessman, one day this man, one day this, one day you want to be a thug, you want to be a gangster, you want to be this, you want to be that, you be a politician, you got your hands in 50 pots. 50 pots. A layman, I want to study Arabic, I want to learn Arabic, but I'm not willing to dedicate any time. I'm not willing to pay any money. All the classes are too much. The classes are too expensive. SubhanAllah, some brothers and some sisters, you look at their different online programs, what they charge is peanuts or walnuts or pecans or pistachios. Nothing. One semester, that's a dinner. That's a jacket. That's some shoes that you're going to wear once a year. You're going to sit in your closet. And you sacrifice that on knowledge. That's a shame. And that just goes to show you how fake you are. You really aren't sincere. You don't want to seek knowledge. You don't. If you wanted to learn Arabic, you would have learned it by now. If the brother was charging $5,000 for one session, you would pay it. Because if it was your kidney, liver, or your heart, you would pay the bill. If it was for your car, if it was for your pocketbook, your wardrobe, you would pay the money. If it was for your mortgage, you would pay the money. No doubt about it. You would pay for the food. You would pay for the seafood. You pay for the lobster. You pay for the steak with no complaints. But knowledge, Yes, ilm is too much. It's a little tight right now and I can't afford it. So therefore, if you really believe that that's the best thing to stay with, and if you really believe that that's the essential, the starting point to healing our sicknesses and the backwardsness in our society is ilm, you got to keep thinking about it and stay focused. You come home from Medina, from Yemen, from Egypt, from Mauritania. What do? You stop your knowledge. Stop teaching knowledge. You're busy with the dunya. You're an average layman now. You got a regular 9 to 5 like anybody else. Every night in the blue moon, you do a khutbah. Once in the blue moon, you give a class after they beg you. You gave up on knowledge. So if the teacher himself, if the one who has the knowledge, if he isn't in his eyes on the prize, how are you going to tell your students to keep their eyes on the prize? He then states, ويرغبه مع ذلك بتدريج على ما يعين على تحصيله من الاقتصار على الميسور وقدر الكفاية من الدنيا والقناعة بذلك عن شغل القلب بالتعلق بها وغلب الفكر وتفريغ الهم بسببها، فإن انصراف القلب عن تعلق الأطماع بالدنيا والاكثار منها والتأسف على فائتها أجمع لقلبه وأروح لسره وأشرف لنفسه وأعلى مكانته وأقل حساده وأجدر لحفظ العلم وازدياده. And the teacher aggressively taking your time to read level by level. Do not jump to the biggest book. Do not jump to the biggest club. Do not jump to the biggest scholar. Tadrij. Pace yourself. Piece by piece, step by step. And anything that helps the student learn successfully and correctly and properly in progressive steps, such as Maysur, that which is easy knowledge, small knowledge, simple knowledge, before the big, difficult, extensive knowledge. He then states, and the teacher must also remind the student of one of the most beneficial means of remaining focused and studying and learning correctly, which is to be a minimalist when it comes to the hayat dunya. Taking just enough. بقدر الكفاية, just enough, not too much of the dunya. Being pleased, being content, being happy with what Allah has given you. And that is because when the heart is busy and preoccupied with the dunya, thinking about it, stressing about it, worrying about it, constantly extending your neck, bills, problems, stress, money, women, this, that, you can't focus on knowledge. You can't study properly. You can't memorize properly. You ever why my memory is so weak? Why it's so poor? Because you have, they say, too many minds. Too many minds. He says, and it's because when the heart is focused on the dunya, its pleasures, its joys, and being greedy and taking so much of the dunya, and being sad and upset and mad and angry when you lose out on the dunya, when things go away or taken away from you, the dunya, he says that's going to break your concentration, it's going to break your focus. And the opposite is going to help concentrate more, it's going to help you focus more, and it's going to give you a higher status. Allahu Akbar. Ashraf. It's going to give you a higher level. People will respect more. And listen to this benefit. He says, it will keep the haters off your back. The people who envy you, who are jealous ones ends, they say, you keep them off of you when you have less of the dunya. So memorizing knowledge, keeping that knowledge, protecting that knowledge, these are all things which help you and assist you. He then states, وَلِذَلِكَ قَلَّ مِنَ الْعِلْمِ نَصِيبًا وَافِرًا إِلَّا مَنْ كَانَ فِي مَبَادِئِ تَحْصِيلِهِ كَمَا ذَكَرْتُ من الفقر والقناعة والإعراض عن طلب الدنيا وعليها الفاني. وسيأتي في هذا النوع أكثر من هذا في أدب المتعة إن شاء الله تعالى. Author then states, and for this reason, you'll very seldomly will you find a scholar who achieved greatness in ilm, who really went far, he left a dent, an impact, except that he was poor in the beginning. Except that he was poor in the beginning. He was poor, he was content, and he turned away from seeking the world life and its temporary pleasures. And he says, we'll explain this in great depth, greater detail later on in the book. Just stop and think about that. Think about those days in Medina, right? No food, no water, no AC. Think about those days in Medina, sleeping on the ground. We were cold, covers. Think about the days in Medina, we had rats in our apartments, literally, not mice, rats, big New York City type of rats in your apartment. Think about that. Think about when you didn't have food, you didn't have money. Call back home, ask someone to send you some money for basic stuff. Think about being in the bookstores, and this is no lie. You see a book that you want, but you have enough money for it, and you had to hide the set of books. Wallahi, volumes. At times you hid it because it's a rare book, and you're gonna wait until you get more money to come back and buy the book. Think about those times in Medina in which you spent your life books like a drug addict, like a fiend, and you were supposed to spend that last money on diapers and baby wipes. And before you brought the books home, you had to hide them. Your family couldn't see that you spent last money for food and diapers on books. Think about that. Think about that. I don't know. How many brothers were in Medina, drove, lemon egg cars, beat down cars, old station wagon, old type of Toyota cars. They graduated, they got their education, and that's not the purpose. It's not about getting money or getting it, but it's talking about reality here. They came back. What are they doing now in America and the UK, Canada? Are they poor? Are they starving? Do they have rats? So it's a sacrifice that you make. But if you're caught up in money and women and popularity and fame, let alone if you're caught up with this sheikh and that sheikh, he knows me, this one, he's refuted me, you're wasting your time. And the shaitan is laughing at you. And know for you'll never, ever achieve knowledge until you sacrifice and get your sole goal and your sole priority. And everything else is a footnote in your chapter of your book. Everyone understand this? Khair, inshallah. So check out the book, Bidnillahi ta'ala, Tadhkiratul Sami' wal Mutakallim. Bidnillahi ta'ala is full of gems, full of fawaid for the seeker of ilm. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. All right, any questions? Inshallah, the questions. No, I ain't got no sweet tea right now. Nah, Abu Mesa. See, some green jasmine today. Green jasmine. Hayyakallah, akhi Khalifa. Barakallahu feekum. Ahlan wa sahlan. Jasmine green, huh? Once again, as a disclaimer, we're doing with our right hand, not the left hand. If there are any questions coming from our brothers in the UK, may Allah bless them all. Sisters as well. AB from London. Any advice for those brothers who have fallen off here, have become hard? Well, I don't know exactly what you mean by falling off, but if you mean by falling off seeking knowledge and studying knowledge, as we've just explained, these types of books need to be in your library, and you need to read them on a daily basis. If you can't read Arabic, read the translation in English or Urdu, or whatever language you may speak or read. And if not, then you need to be around the people that are reading these books. A daily dose. Wallahu alam, the company that you keep, the energy that you have, right, around you. And we're Ali from London. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Barakallahu feek. Feekum barakallah. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallahu khairan. Alhamdulillah, enjoying this weather. Enjoying this fresh air. It's really unbelievable. SubhanAllah. Man. Everything. The fresh air from the water is intoxicating. Alhamdulillah. It's really, really good for the lungs. Question says, from Essay from London. Assalamu alaikum. Sheikh, how to help others understand that the day of Arafat can differ those living in different countries? It's really simple. Saudi, whether you like it or not, because they're lovers of Saudi and they're haters of Saudi, it matters not. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he put Mecca and Medina there. And right now, they're in charge of those holy sites, whether you like. So they're going to have the first dibs at those things because it's in their lands that Allah put them in charge of. However, if you're in America or you're in, and obviously America has 4 time zones, right? The United States, North America has 4 time zones. Wherever you are, whether you're in Indonesia or North America, whether you're in Ukraine or wherever you are, a different time zone. So Saudi is 8 hours ahead, 8 hours behind, whatever the case may be. So common sense. I'm making salat and they're asleep or they're up, and time zones are different. So it makes no sense. How is it going to be? How are you going to make everything equal and everything the same when there's clearly a difference in the time zones, the climate? It just doesn't make any sense. So it's Arafah here, but it's the next day there. Or it's whack. That's just common sense, yani. Wallahu alam. The Worldly Life Podcast. Inshallah, you doing well, akhi. Up for those kuffar and those mushrikun, huh? AA from London, UK. Ruling on using car insurance if there's no dire need. Self-explanatory. You know dire need, you know, don't do it. However, even if it is a dire need, what problems will you face if you get into a problem, an accident, or the police, and you don't have the insurance? Then what? What are they going to charge you? And that's just a general rule with regards to the oppressors, the zalimun, yani. They have no mercy. When they sink their fangs and their claws into you, they bite deep. So you got this, you violated this, you didn't have the insurance, they're going to oppress you. And then when they oppress you, then what? So sometimes it's from wisdom to keep the zalimin off of you. Keep them off you. Understand? Keep them away from you. Very important. Wallahu alam. KT from Paris. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. On the day of Arafah, the masjid open up for the people to come and do ibadat, etc. Is it permissible to attend Jazakallah khairan? You perform ibadah on the day of Arafah in general. You should do more ibadah in general on that day, during virtuous times in general, without the niyyah of something being specific and exclusive. So it's a give or a take here. So from one aspect, you're doing extra ibadah because it's Arafah. But from another aspect, I'm not doing this special ibadah as if it's an act of ibadah that's exclusive to Arafah. Understand? Salah is virtuous no matter what. Sadaqah is virtuous no matter what. Dua is virtuous no matter what. Understand? So it's give or a take, bidnillahi ta'ala, as long as you know the ledge and you don't get too close to that ledge, and which you fall into bid'ah, which is obviously a huge problem. And it's bid'ah, yani innovations, or bid'ah in innovation, these things that Allah hates. Allah is not pleased with them, and bid'ah, it's disrespectful. They're disrespectful to Allah. And as if you're telling Allah that the religion isn't complete and it isn't perfect. And it's disrespectful to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as if he didn't point his finger and raise it and say, "Hal balaghtu," have I conveyed the message? So bid'ah is a mushkila, is a big problem. Sunnah is more than enough. Wallahu a'lam. The question is coming from TKO, Lanham, Maryland. Assalamu alaikum, Mufti. Any words of advice while entertaining multiple suitors as a man? Is this even permissible? So right now you're a man and you have more than one woman that you're thinking about marrying. Am I understanding you correctly?